Welcome and hello everybody. Welcome to my new series called Fusion's Ramblings. In this series we're going to be playing various games. In this case it's Minecraft, where we're just doing some grinding of blocks in the end, as you can see. And the goal of this series is a little bit different. As the title implies, I am going to ramble. But it'll be ramble with a purpose, meaning that there will be a topic to be discussed. And in the meantime, I'm just going to be doing random things within in the Minecraft world. And today's topic I figured would be, simple but very appropriate. And that is, why do I play Minecraft? I mean, there's some obvious answers. It's fun, it's a good game, things like that. But then there's the question that I am often asked of, well, Fusion, you're pretty old. Not really, but I'm not a young kid, I'm not a teenager, I am not a young adult, I am past my midlife, as you could say. And so a lot of people are surprised that I play Minecraft at my age, especially with the type of work that I do, in that, I'm a senior manager and I work in a BPO company, and, that is on a global scale. And yet I make time to sit here and play games when, you know, who knows what else could be going on in my life or in my responsibilities that I may have. And so I figured, hey, why not start with this topic as a great rambling topic of why I play Minecraft. There's several reasons, and I guess we could start with my background, a little bit. In that when I was growing up, ages ago, at first, the only type of consoles or games that you could experience outside of just playing physical activities or physical games, or board games or card games, would be if you had something like an Atari, and you had the little cartridge games that go along with it, because there wasn't anything such as a gaming computer, Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox and all of that exists today, and all of the PC games that exist today didn't exist when I was a kid. We had things like Legos and constructs and other toys, Matchbox cars, and and that's what you would play. A lot of imagination happening, which I think is something that's missing today. But anyways, I started off getting into the computerized gaming experience because we purchased a home PC. It was used by my stepfather to manage what was called the BBS system, which was before the internet. It was a messaging system that people, or various people, could utilize and interact with, that would allow them to, send information, send files, things like that. Same things we do in the internet today, but without all of the fancy stuff that comes along with the internet. And that's what it was all about. And of course, at that time, home PCs were fairly rare. Not very many people had them. Fairly expensive to get. So that was one of the reasons why people didn't have them. And there was no such thing as connectivity for the most part. You had to dial a direct phone number that would be assigned to your PC or to your house to be able to do anything with anyone else. Otherwise, it just sat there on your desk and you could use it as a fancy typewriter. But that's kind of my intro to, you could say, the computer world was that type of experience. And it was a good experience. But anyways, in the mid 80s or whatever the date is, we got our first Nintendo. And that was a blast. Just like everybody else, we enjoyed it. Later on, Game Boys came out, so we played on Game Boys, and of course, PC computer games started becoming a thing. And they were really basic, digitized games. You might think of some of the first cell phones where you have black and white, screens with pixels and stuff like that. And that's kind of what the experience was. Obviously, some games were in that format and others were in color. And wow, that was fancy and stuff you couldn't even get, in other platforms because there were none. I mean, there weren't even cell phones in existence yet. Satellite phones, maybe. Anyway, so that's kind of where it all started. The interest is that experience, and over the years, played a lot of different games. And one day, of course, I saw Minecraft and started playing it fairly early in its development. I don't know, it was 1.2 or something like that when I first touched hands on it. And I've enjoyed it ever since. I've enjoyed the fact that it was an open world. You could do anything you want, and you were in charge. There was nobody there telling you that, hey, this is the quest, this is what you got to do next, this is where you go, you got to get these items. You could just do what you wanted. And of course, the game has evolved a lot since then. When factions became a thing, because the game was being modded, plugins were being added, by just random players. I got involved in factions. That was my first online experience of Minecraft. Before then, it was just, stuff on my personal desktop and my own games. But I hadn't played online, and I knew nothing about factions. I went into this server. It was Cosmic PvP. That was the first one that I ever found and decided to try it out. Took me a while to figure out how to even navigate through their hub and get to a world so that I could play and everything. And I went out into the world having no idea what factions was, except for seeing some videos on it that had just come out in the early YouTube days. And so I went clear to the border of the world. I picked a spot. I built this really nice structure. It was like this temple-looking thing. Nothing practical for a factions base. It had no defenses or anything like that. I didn't even, know I had to do any of that stuff. And surprisingly, though, it stayed untouched for a long time. Even though a lot of people would come and take a look at it, nobody, destroyed it or anything like that. And probably because, I didn't have spawners and I didn't have any type of farming going on or valuables in chests or anything like that. I mean, I did have a little hidden room under the stairwell where I had my chests, and then other chests were just out in the open and they had building materials and stuff. So nobody was interested. They were probably going, "Oh, what a noob." But anyways, that was my experience with Minecraft. Eventually, I met some players from Norway. They started a base next to me, and an actual factions base with TNT wall defenses and all of that good stuff. And so I started researching and learning how to defend bases and items like that. And before you know it, I became the faction owner. We had a gigantic base. People would try to raid it, and we would always defend it successfully all the way up until the end of the season. And in the second season, I'll just say that I progressed in my knowledge of base defenses and base building, and built some magnificent bases on the server. And these were huge bases and required a lot of members, up to 200 members in the faction, that would come on. And we had these bases that were, I don't know, like 200 or more chunks square, just the inside of the base. That's not even counting the walls and defenses and stuff. And we would have like parks, and like we built this giant lagoon with pirate ships battling each other inside the lagoon in the middle of the base, along with spawner farms and everything else you can think of that goes along with a faction base. And it was really cool. And and we became one of the top factions on the server and remained so for a long time. And it was a lot of fun. It was a blast, and did several seasons of that. And then I decided that I wanted to try out my own server because it kind of looked fun to do things and set a server up and see what would happen, and which I did. I set up a server and ran a server for several years, a faction server, and then expanded into some other server types. And of course, today I have a survival server, Perm, that I go play on, and that's there, and that other people join, um, and I still enjoy, playing. I don't play factions very much anymore. Actually, I haven't played it in over a year. Uh, I've been playing survival and just building magnificent builds. And that's why I love Minecraft. It was how I got into it, and why I love it is I just like the engagement, like how I can be creative and do things that you normally just don't do in a game. Games are changing. There's a lot of games like Minecraft now, copycats, not just in the gameplay, but the game style is copycatted hundreds of times over. But nothing can beat Minecraft, in my opinion. There's a lot of good games out there, but I think I will always enjoy Minecraft and always be playing it. So now you know. Anyways, these videos are going to be fairly short, so that will wrap it up for today. And I welcome you to come back to the next random topic that we will mumble and ramble about. Who knows what it'll be? It could be any topic in the world. I'll stay away from some sensitive topics, but should be fun, and hopefully you'll join me. So thank you, and see you then.